And away we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Pit Life Barbecue Podcast, coming to you live from the Uncle Steve Shake Studios in Center Bonstead, New Hampshire. It's the podcast where we talk everything barbecue and a lot of other topics that you normally talk around the pit. Well, folks, today, obviously brought to you by Uncle Steve Shake. Ladies and gentlemen, what can I say? Uncle Steve Shake, Uncle Steve, true salt of the earth guy, shirt off your back guy, true gentleman of the game. 16 amazing flavors, including the sauce with no name. You got the original, the Gator Shake, the competition line, the new Magic Ribs. Phenomenal stuff. Phenomenal stuff. Great customer service. You call that number, Steve's going to answer the phone. You send an email, Steve's responding to your email. You have any questions on what you're using to hit your flavor profiles, call him up, send an email. He'll even call you. And he'll have a great sit down, have a conversation with you, steer you in the right direction, won't steer you in a way just to push some shake on you. He wants you to be happy, wants the experience to be happy. And he checks all the boxes. So check him out at UncleSteveShake.com and also on Facebook, Uncle Steve Shake Nation, for all the latest and greatest updates on everything Uncle Steve Shake. Uncle Steve Shake, shake some on everything. Also brought to you by Joe's Meat Market. Joe's Meat Market is the diamond of Royce City, Texas. Gabriel and his crew do an outstanding job day in, day out, all week. You're looking for a specific cut, he can get it in for you. You need certain thicknesses you're looking for, he's got you covered on that. Always the freshest meat around, fresh produce brought in. Rubs, seasonings, sauces, just started carrying smoking wood products. He's got you covered from your next backyard event to your next competition down the line. Gabriel and his crew got you. Feeling a little hungry while you're there? We've all gone shopping and, you're picking up a couple things and, I could go he's got you covered too. Gabriel's mom's behind the counter, mixing up authentic dishes day in, day out. Get some fresh menudo, some tacos, a couple other dishes. Sit down, talk to the guys. It's that I like to call it that old barbershop feeling. Just sit down, let everything that's going on be going on outside. Slow down, smell the roses for a little bit, talk some barbecue with whoever's there, make some new friends and build some relationships. That's what it's all about, guys. So if you're ever in the Royce City, Texas area, please stop by, see Gabriel and everybody. Tell him Mag sent you. Joe's Meat Market for the win. Oh, let's see. We got Bat. What's happening? Thank you for tuning in. Daddy Dutch, NBL, what's going on? Mad Max calling you out, brother. Simon, what's happening? Uncle Steve, there's the man himself. What's going on, boys? Big Rome, Texas Barbecue Chapter in the house. So, guys, I am excited about this evening. My list of potential guests is about 3 pages long, and this one just organically happened. An email, and away we go. You see, you know him, you see him on TV, everything. Restaurateur, new whiskey line, which we're going to get into because we all know we love ourselves some of that good old brown water. But we'll get it. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, from Peg Leg Porker, Mr. Carey Bringle. Carey, what's up, sir? How are you?
I'm good, Johnny. How about you?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for taking the time. This is going to be fun. This is a true honor to speak with you. So,
well, I'm glad to be here.
How's the weather down in Nashville today?
Hot, hot, hot. 98 degrees.
Woo!
Probably 98% humidity.
Yeah, get you on both ends. Absolutely. But Carey, for anybody who might not know you or heard of you, can you give us a little rundown of who you are, your journey into barbecue?
Sure, yeah, Johnny. I'm born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee. My family's all from West Tennessee. And my family settled in Tennessee in 1827 in Covington, and we had the cotton gin down there. And then my grandfather went to medical school and then moved to Memphis and delivered a bunch of the city down there. And my mom and dad grew up in Memphis, and so I grew up going back and forth from Nashville to Memphis my whole childhood. And as a result, my family being an agricultural family from the state of Tennessee and West Tennessee, barbecue was always at the heart of our family meals and what we loved. And so I started cooking with my Uncle Bruce when I was probably 12 or 13, and my grandfather Jack on my mother's side, along the same time. We used to do smoked burgers, and we'd do country back ribs. You don't see those much anymore, but that was something that we cooked all the time. And we did normal ribs were too expensive. We couldn't they couldn't afford those, so we'd get the country back ribs, and they had a whole lot more meat on them too. And anyhow, my Uncle Bruce taught me how to smoke a turkey at a young age, and he actually competed in the very first Memphis in May World Barbecue Championship. And then I subsequently got into it, joined a team, and cooked in it for 31 years. But I opened a restaurant, Peg Leg Porker. I cooked with a team called Hog Wild for 12 years before I broke off and started Peg Leg. And then when I started Peg Leg, I did that for a while, and then finally opened a restaurant in 2013. And then we started our spirits company in late 2013, early 2014.
All right. Yeah. Now, with your family out on the western side, the Memphis side, did you grow up with that, the West Texas style whole hog cooking?
Well, West Tennessee style whole hog, yes.
Sorry.
So yeah, we would go to some places that had whole hog, but then in Memphis it's mainly shoulder, and in Memphis they're cooking over charcoal most of the time, hickory wood and charcoal, then in Lexington and Henderson was really the area in Tennessee, which is not far from Memphis, a little bit south of Jackson, Tennessee. Was really known for whole hog, and I've still got close folks over there. They're doing some of that. Zach Parker with B.E. Scott's, and now he's taken over Jack's Creek, which was another legendary spot from that area, and doing a great job down there. Zach took over when his daddy Ricky Parker died, and took over B.E. Scott's at a young age, and he's done an overwhelmingly great job with that.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Well, Carey, just if you ever look in the chat, you always see it's become very comical, and the boys love busting my chops. Sorry, Carey, Johnny is geographically challenged.
There you go.
The reason is I'm standing here, and it seems to every Monday lately we've been having batches of storms come through when it's showtime. So the internet gets a little wonky. So I've got everything set up on the side here, and there's a hat. So I'm staring at the Texas leg when I'm thinking about it.
There you
And
go.
muscle memory just took over.
That's
But
all right. We're pork
yeah.
and chicken. That's beef. That's brisket.
Oh man. So Carey, the name Peg Leg Porker came from an event early in your life, correct?
Yeah, so I had osteogenic sarcoma bone cancer when I was 17 years old. And I had a right leg amputation right above the knee. And that's where the name came from. Instead of making it something negative, we turned it into a positive and turned it into a brand.
Oh, there you go. That's that's great, especially at that age. You're just really coming into your own, adulthood wise, and to have that and to have the foresight to make it into a positive, and
Yeah.
from that point forward, God willing, no other issue, no setbacks, no returns.
No, I've been good. I've been in remission ever since. I had 8 months of heavy chemotherapy. That was, tough, but and then I had follow ups for 5 years, but I'm good. I've been cancer free for, I think, over 35 years now.
Oh, thank you, Lord. That's great news. That's great. Oh man. Yeah, everybody's saying, that's awesome. Thumbs up, everything gets all great. So what led you, obviously you got into the competitions, and we'll get into the competitions in a bit, but what made you want to open a restaurant?
Well, I always knew that I'd open a restaurant at some point. It was just a matter of when it would be. I had a career in healthcare and then in technology, and I cooked barbecue all along the way, from a young age. And then going into, I got labeled kind of as a competition guy, but I really didn't go and cook the whole circuit much. I think in the year that I cooked the most contests, it was probably 5 or 6 contests, and that was it. We cooked Memphis in May, and that was the world championship. And so I really didn't, feel a need to go out and cook a whole bunch of others. That's what we did. We did it once a year, but that's where we kind of built up a name. I did catering on the side, and I had bottled my sauces and rubs, and really hadn't pushed them much, but gave them to family and friends. And I'm a loudmouth, so I talked about the brand every chance I got, and that helped build it up a little bit and at least give us a reputation, and people knew, that we were out there and what we were doing.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. What would you say might be your biggest challenge you come up with in the restaurant business? Obviously, we just got all off of COVID, which was a major issue for every business, during that time. But being a barbecue restaurant, I suppose you deal with don't want to say you deal with a certain clientele, but barbecue's not for everybody. And then as we all know and we all deal with the week in week out is the price of the meat now.
Sure.
Is everything little kind of intertwined, or over the years you've had the peaks and valleys from different situations?
Well, we've had peaks and valleys. We've been lucky that we've mainly done well, and we've got a great team. But personnel's always a challenge. Trying to hire enough people and trying to make sure that people do the right job and do a great job. We're lucky that 98% of the people that leave turn around and come back. And we're 100% family owned and operated. That can be a challenge sometimes as well. You're competing against folks that may have investment groups or may have better funding, or they're building out a chain. And, we like to say we're building a legacy and not a chain. There's one peg leg porker, and that's all there'll ever be is one peg leg porker. We don't, for our brand, what works for us is having that one sort of iconic location and not, diluting that with more peg leg porkers where people wonder, what's the original. And that's not to say that that's a bad thing. I know some people that are building multiple unit restaurants and doing an excellent job at it. A lot of them here in Nashville that are my peers and close friends. Mm-hmm. It's just not the route for us. And we have a very limited menu. We are just pork and chicken at Peg Leg. And so we wanted to be painted into that box and be what we consider real Tennessee barbecue and not really get out of that box with Peg Leg. People, know what they're getting. They know what to expect when they get there. And, they either love it or they don't. And we've got other restaurants, but they're other concepts and different names. And they serve different styles of food. And so, that's what works for us.
Oh, there you go. That consistency is key. You want to keep that. Oh man, I ate a peg leg porker last year on a family vacation down in Nashville. I'm going down again on a business trip. I hope everything's the same thing. And sure enough, boom, yep, it was the same. And that word of mouth thing. It's that consistency.
It really is. We try and it's a consistency. It's keeping a simple. We've got a one-page menu. We've got 6 sides. That's it. And, we've got 2 desserts. That's it. We've got dry ribs. We got pulled pork or a pulled pork sandwich, and we got a half a chicken. And, that's what we offer. You can get wings, you can get Memphis sushi, you can get Kool-Aid pickles, but we try and keep it very narrow. Generally the consumer doesn't want a Cheesecake Factory type menu with everything on it. Yeah. And my philosophy has always been when you try and be everything to everybody, you generally are not that great at any of it for anybody. And so what we've tried to do is say, look, we took our cue from the Rendezvous in Memphis, from Charlie Vertus, and, he invented the dry rib. And we do a true, authentic, West Tennessee style dry rib. And a lot of people will claim to have a dry rib, and they'll rub down a rib with a pre-rub, and they'll smoke it, and then they won't put any sauce on it, and they'll serve it to you, and they'll say that's a dry rib. And that may be a dynamite rib, but it's not a West Tennessee dry rib. Ours is not a rub, it's a barbecue seasoning. It has very little salt and no sugar in it. And so what we do is we smoke that rib with nothing on it except for kosher salt. And when it comes off the pit, right before it hits your plate, it gets hit with a barbecue seasoning. So you get the full flavor of the pork with the hickory smoke, and then you get the full brightness of the spices that pop in your mouth that complement that pork. And it's a very different rib. It's not for everybody. The rib should not be dry. The meat should not be dry. It's just a dry seasoning that goes on. And it's actually Greek in origin. The Vergas family are Greeks. And Charlie started with a sandwich shop down there in the basement in Memphis. And then he noticed he had these coal chutes. And so he turned them into charbroil pits. And he bought ribs because they were cheap. And so he started cooking ribs, and he had to develop a seasoning to go on top of them. And it shocks a lot of people to learn that the origins of the Memphis true dry rib is Greek in origin.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
It works, but once again, it melds. The different cultures create different things down the line, and everyone is blessed because of it. A lot of things have come out of by accident or necessity, and to have it all sticking around all these years later. But you kind of hit on Big Rome's question. What are the savory notes and flavors of Nashville style? Obviously, from what I know, is the hickory wood.
Well, yeah. So I would say that we didn't try and invent any new style, Nashville style. Ours is a West Tennessee tried and true Memphis style barbecue. We happen to be in Nashville, but we took our cues from Memphis, where I grew up eating barbecue. There are some folks in Nashville, some of my peers, that are doing what they call Nashville style barbecue. Some of them will take, and make it a little bit hotter and do like a Nashville hot barbecue, like Nashville hot chicken. But really, a Nashville style has kind of been a melting of multiple styles for most barbecue restaurants in Nashville. Most barbecue restaurants in Nashville serve kind of everything. And that's what we didn't want to do at Peg Leg. Now, at my restaurant, Bringle Smoking Oasis, it's a Texas style, and we have a lot more leeway to experiment over there and do different specials and have different flavors and tastes, because I didn't paint myself in a box. I painted myself in a box at Peg Leg on purpose, because we wanted to be as traditional West Tennessee, Memphis style as we could get. And whereas most of my competitors in town, in Nashville, have barnwood and tin as their decor, and they have, and they play a lot of country music, my style that I grew up with was more cinder block, concrete floor, very bare minimum blues and soul. And that's kind of the feel and the vibe that you get when you walk in Peg Leg. It's a cinder block building with no windows, with a concrete floor, with red drop lights, and we play blues and soul, and you for me, it's like a homecoming of the restaurants that I grew up going to in Memphis, and that's what we wanted to create, and that's what I think we have achieved.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, brother Stephen and Jacqueline, all the way from Trinidad and Tobago. What's going on, brother? Judge Webb, what's happening? Matt Wilford, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate it. What are you cooking on at Peg Leg Porker?
We cook on everything, but our workhorses are Old Hickory pits. So we've got a brick pit out front that we built, that I designed and we built when I built the restaurant. It's got a chimney to burn down coals. It's a whole hog pit. And in fact, we modified that pit later on, and I turned it into an aquarium smoker, because I had seen the aquarium smokers of Chicago, and I had seen the aquarium smoker that they had at Cozy Corner in Memphis, and I always loved the idea of an aquarium smoker. So when I redid that pit, I added an aquarium top to it, because every time we cooked whole hog out there, everybody wanted us to lift the lid so they could see the pig and get a picture. And I thought, well, if I build an aquarium top to this thing, they can see the pig, and I don't have to open the cooker at all, because looking ain't cooking, and we don't want to do that. And so we've got our brick pits up front. Our Old Hickory pits are our workhorses, which are wood fired. We fire them with hickory. If it goes overnight, we've got a gas assist. And then we built our own line of smokers called the BMF 200 and the BMF 100. And the BMF 200 is a whole hog cooker that we use at our different, when we go down to Memphis and cook. And we use it for different special events. My wife uses one for her barbecue team. She's got an all-girls barbecue team called I Only Smoke When I Drink. She competes against me. And she uses a BMF 200, and so does my buddy Tank Jackson out of Charleston, South Carolina, with Holy City Hogs. And it's a dynamite vertical whole hog cooker that's all wood and charcoal, but can keep a temp for about 8 to 10 hours without having to touch it. So we cook on everything, but the workhorse for a day-to-day for the restaurant with the volume that we do is our old hickory pit. And, you know, we get some grief over that sometimes because people say, well, you know, you should be using an offset or this or that. And, you know, you try and own a restaurant and get somebody to stay overnight, you know, 6 days a week or 7 days a week and work that pit and not drink all your liquor or rob you blind or fall asleep or something, you know, it's just, we found that with old hickory, we get the consistency, we get the flavor we want. And, you know, I'm famous for telling people, don't tell me how to cook my shit, you know, because I'll get some grief from some people that say, are you cooking over all only wood? And I said, well, we're using all wood fired smokers, but in the middle of the night, that gas may cook on to ride it out. Mm-hmm. And if you can taste the difference, I'd love for you to come and I'll challenge you to taste the difference. Don't give me that bullshit, you know, and you've been influenced most of the time by some writer that told you what authentic barbecue is. And you're talking to a pitmaster who actually does it for a fucking living. And, you know, you're trying to tell me how to cook. You can judge me by what hits your plate all day long, you know, and if you don't like it and if it's not right, I will take that judgment and I'll take that critique any day of the week. But don't tell me how to get there to get the product to your plate, because you simply don't. If you don't do it for a living and you don't have to do it day in and day out or serve 400 racks of ribs in one day, then I really don't want to hear your shit.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Now with the old hickory smokers, are you talking somewhere like the CTOs?
We use ELEDXs, and then we've got an SSJAE, which is their big boy.
Yeah.
And so we've got 4 pits rolling all the time at Peg Leg, and, you know, we're cooking a lot of meat, and we need it to be consistent. And we have found that the rotisserie smokers, you know, burning wood, are very consistent, and we get an even heat. We get a great product. You know, we run it overnight every night. We cook fresh every single day. And, you know, that's another thing. I know some people that are, you know, people say, well, you just got to shovel coals and shovel, you know, live fire under that pit. Well, that's great. And we do that a lot, you know, different cooks. And I can build a cinder block pit from scratch. And, you know, we can do all that shit. I've done it all. But you get a lot of spikes in that temperature on that. And so, you know, just because somebody shoveled coals all night doesn't mean they make great barbecue. I've had a lot of shitty ass barbecue that was cooked from somebody shoveling coals all night because they simply didn't know what they were doing. So, you know, you got to keep it in context, and you got to understand that, you know, there's efficiencies to being able to cook on some of these. And now you're seeing a lot of guys that want to cook all wood are going to the J&Rs, or they're going to an M&M, which are rotisserie pits. But they're just, and some of them, the J&Rs have some electric assist units. And then, you know, M&M, I think, are straight wood. But, you know, you just have to choose what's right for you and what you can manage and do in your restaurant. The key is that you want to produce a great product. And so I really don't care when I go to a barbecue restaurant what in particular they're cooking on, if they provide me with something that's dynamite that hits my plate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Daddy Dutch has an interesting one. Regular hickory or pig nut hickory?
We use regular hickory. We have to get the hickory that our firewood producer can get for us. And so that hickory may vary, but the bottom line is once you learn how to cook with hickory, you know, hickory is very strong, and you have to be cautious with hickory It's going to be hard to over smoke a whole hog. It's going to be hard to over smoke a shoulder. But I tell you what, you can sure over smoke a rack of ribs. And I've had some, and they're just, once you have something that's been over smoked, you don't want to eat anything smoked for another 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
It's like if you ate too many damn pigs in a blanket, or if you eat something with liquid smoke and you just, you don't, it just turns you off. And smoke is just like any other ingredient. It's just like salt or pepper. It has to be used in moderation, and you have to understand that it's an ingredient. And it's got to be subtle, and it's got to be, it's got to complement the product rather than overpower it. Mm-hmm. And that's where a lot of people make a mistake.
Oh, for sure. Chris, Eastwind Farms, what's up, brother? But Carey, I want to jump back real quick when you were talking about, what's on your menu. And I'm going to catch shit in this, so watch the jokes start flying in the chat. But I love me a good pickle. What the hell is a Kool-Aid pickle?
So a Kool-Aid pickle is it's a Mississippi Delta thing. And, Mississippi Delta is just south of Memphis, going down into the Clarksdale area of Mississippi. And I used to cover that area when I was living in Memphis and selling in the medical field. But, I didn't have Kool-Aid pickles on my menu when I first started. And I have to tell you, Craig Blondis from in Memphis, who's a close friend of mine who I've known for 20, 25 years, he said, "Do you have Kool-Aid pickles on your menu?" And I said, "No, I don't." And he said, "You need to put them on there." And we got to talking about it. And so a Kool-Aid pickle is just dill pickle spears that we take some of the pickle juice out, take some of the brine out of the bucket, and we add a packet or two of Tropical Punch Kool-Aid. Now, you can use any flavor you want. And some people make rainbow pickles. They'll use a bunch of different flavors and make a bunch of different pickles. But we use Tropical Punch Kool-Aid. We let them steep for a week in that. And when you pull them out, they look like little watermelon rinds. And they've still got the pickle flavor, so you get the sourness of the pickle, but you get a little bit of that sweetness of that Kool-Aid. And people, they don't know what to think about them. They'll order them because they want to order it. They're curious. And then, some people love them. Some people profess to hate them while they still continue to eat them. And so I've watched a group of guys, just bitching about them the whole time while they kept shoving them in their mouth, and we fed them to Dave Grohl came in, and Dave and I were visiting, and I brought him an order. And he sat there and he kept eating them, and he says, I don't love them. And he's like, but I don't hate them either. I don't, I'm just I'm okay. He just kept eating them. You just kind of keep eating them. They're addictive. But and sometimes we'll take that pickle juice, and my wife really likes pickle juice, so we'll make a pickle juice margarita and garnish it with one of those Kool-Aid pickles.
Ooh. That's interesting.
So you can hydrate while you dehydrate.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Joe's Meat Market. There he is. Gabriel, what's up, brother? Where is it? There's my buddy Todd from the Christmas Clatter podcast, where it's getting to that time, brother. A couple more days. We're in the burn months. Thanks for tuning in, brother.
Yeah.
So, Carey, we're going to get into a hit on the competition aspect of it.
All right.
Like you said, he was, a couple contests here and there, but definitely Memphis in May every year. Now, everybody in the barbecue world was kept up on everything Memphis in May this last year into this year, with the whole fiasco and the bill and all that. But then another competition, Smoke Slam, popped up, and You were the first big proponent of Smoke Slam, or proponent supporter. As far as I know and aware of, it went off. Both events went off without a hitch. But the Smoke Slam was a little bit different, more money out involved. I believe the gentleman who won, the team that won with all the different walks, wound up winning something like $92,000 or $93,000 for the one weekend. But
they walked with they were Smoke Masters, I believe, and they walked with a boatload of money. They didn't regret leaving Memphis in May at all. I can tell you that. The grand champion at Memphis in May, I think, walked with about 42, and Smoke Masters walked with 92 or 93. I'll be completely honest and transparent about this, Johnny. We talked a little bit about it before the show began. I cooked Memphis in May for 31 years. My uncle competed in the very first Memphis in May. I've got the apron hanging in my restaurant from Memphis in May #1. And, I was a Memphis in May, dyed in the wool, diehard, and have been for years and years and years. And it really meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to my family. I followed it as a child. And then when I was old enough to join a team and participate, it really was something special to me and something cool that I was able to do. And I went down in college with my wife, and her cousins had a team called the Rolling Wonder Pigs. And we visited, and back then the park was a whole lot different. You had generators back on the jetties. It was smoky. There was no sidewalks. It was all dirt. It was pretty wild and crazy, but it was really fun. And I enjoyed it for a long, long time. And then they had a change in leadership, and they started to make some changes to make it a little bit more sort of corporate. And they ended up, most people, if you've done it for a long time, you remember that they had a feeder network that was the Memphis in May network. Now it's called MBN, but at the time it was called the Memphis in May network. And there were a lot of small towns that were around that these judges from Memphis in May had gone and trained them. And these were these small towns' biggest fundraisers of the year. It was a big deal for them. And then they fed into Memphis in May. Well, when they had a change in leadership at Memphis in May, they made the executive decision to drop those competitions. And I'm talking about in a drop of a hat in 1 year. They said, sorry, we're going to no longer support you. We're concentrating on our contest, and that's it. And it left the people who had trained and who had gone around to these competitions in a tough spot, because they felt an obligation to these cities and these communities and these contests to continue on with that. So they were forced to form the MBN, which was, not something that they wanted to do or that they were really equipped to do. They just kind of were thrust into that position. And Randy McGee and several others along with him, had to sort of form a network just out of the blue, on the fly, just to not let these cities down, because Memphis in May had let them down. And that's how the MBN was formed. And Memphis in May kind of stood on its own. They started to make changes. You couldn't choose who you want as a tent vendor. They went to exclusive tent contracts. Then the trophies used to be made at the Ornamental Metal Museum in Memphis. It's the only ornamental metal museum in the country. And they made these trophies that were works of art. Yeah. Well, they yanked those trophies from the metal museum because they were too expensive. And they started getting them made from a commercial trophy manufacturer. And that was a big blow. It's just like if you go to Galax, they've got fiddles, and that's why people go to Galax. It's a huge deal. They want that fiddle. If Galax were to say, we're going to get rid of the fiddles and we're just making some standard old trophy house trophies, they would probably lose half their audience. Yeah. And so it was changes like that over the years. Then they just started treating teams, quite frankly, like dirt. You'd pay your money, and Memphis in May is not cheap. The entry fee alone is about $5,000. Then you've got tent, you've got flooring, you've got electricity, you got everything. By the time it's said and done, even a moderate team is going to spend $20,000 to $25,000 on the weekend. And to spend that amount of money and then them come and treat you like dirt really hurts. And it just makes it not fun and makes you not want to do it. And so after 31 years of doing it, I'd kind of had enough. I was probably not going to do it again. And then I got a phone call from a friend of mine, Bowen Cook, who was on the People's Republic of Swina. And she said, listen, there's some Memphis leaders that are friends of yours, a lot of them you know, from prominent Memphis families that have a lot of money. And, you know, Memphis in May got in the fight with the River Parks Commission and you know, Memphis in May, the leadership of Memphis in May did not get along with the leadership of the River Parks Commission. They had just built the new Tom Lee Park. You know, they went back in it under a lot of different conditions. The River Parks Commission said they did a lot of damage. You know, it was mainly a personal fight between the two leaders of those organizations, to be quite frank. Well, it ended up that Memphis in May was not going to be able to use the river anymore. And this group of leaders called me up and said, look, we're looking for somebody to head up and be on an advisory committee. Memphis in May has dropped the Beale Street Music Festival. And before that, Memphis in May dropped the Sunset Symphony. And so what a lot of people don't realize is Memphis in May was a whole month-long celebration. The barbecue festival was one weekend. Well, Memphis in May dropped almost everything else related to the month, and only kept the barbecue competition. So it kind of defeated the whole purpose of Memphis in May. And then when they weren't able to use the river again, this group of local business owners that had a lot of money and a lot of influence asked me if I'd join an advisory committee. They were taking over the Beale Street Music Festival. They felt like barbecue belonged on the river in Memphis. That's what made it special in the first place. And asked me if I would come and help advise them on how to throw a world-class competition. And, you know, was I interested? And I was, because I was fed up with the way I'd been treated with Memphis in May over the last 10 years. And I can tell you, I had almost every team that I knew down there had been in my booth at some point bitching about how they'd been treated at Memphis in May. And so for me, when the time came to put my money where my mouth was, I took the opportunity and I actually jumped. I didn't want to be a hypocrite and talk about Memphis in May being bad and not do something about it and not, you know, and sit there and take it and continue to do it. I got a lot of support from a lot of my old friends in the barbecue industry. Some of them came over to the new competition. Some of them stayed at Memphis in May. The great teams and the real leaders in the barbecue community, whether they stayed with Memphis in May or went with the new contest, had a positive attitude about both of them and didn't try and trash one or the other. And you notice I'm not mentioning any names at Memphis in May because I enjoyed Memphis in May and I had a great time there. And it's a huge part of my barbecue career in my life. And I don't want to dog Memphis in May. That's not what I'm trying to do. But when I had a personal problem with it, when I felt like it wasn't what it used to be, I felt like it was time to go and work with the new group who really wanted it to be what it used to be. And that's why they formed Smoke Slam. And I was proud to be a part of it. They did a great job with it. The people who are the most influential in the barbecue world chose which one they were going to cook at and didn't say anything negative about the other. In fact, a lot of them went and visited both. It was more of a petty group of people that really bitched and really, you know, caused a fuss, called a commotion, whined and cried. The same people that a lot of them had been in my booth bitching about it for years. It turned out to be very hypocritical in the fact that they stayed with what they knew hadn't been good for them.
Yeah.
And that's their choice, and that's great. What I can tell you is that I think Matt Davis did a better job with Memphis in May this year, taking it over with the leadership, and he made it more consumer friendly and more team friendly. And I applaud him for recognizing that and making that change. And I can tell you that the leadership of Smoke Slam did an outstanding job with their contest and making it a world-class contest, great for the consumer, great for families, and great for the teams. And so I was happy with my choice. I think my friends who stayed with Memphis in May were happy with their choice. I hate that they're on the same weekend, but they are. And it kind of is what it is. And I don't apologize for it. I just explained to you exactly why I did it and why I stand behind my decision. And I'm close friends with most of the big competitors at Memphis in May, and most of the guys that chose to go over to Smoke Slam. And it's just a personal choice on where you want to be and what you want to do. But the Smoke Slam came strong with the biggest prize money in barbecue history. And unfortunately, while they did it, some of the ex-leadership of Memphis in May continued to be negative and dog them and, call it, rookies on the river, and dogged it for having a kids competition. And, I can tell you that this group gave $25,000 to the World Junior Barbecue League. And some of these kids walked away there with $12,000, $15,000 in prize money to put themselves through school. And that's the next generation of barbecue. And supporting them is the ultimate honor in barbecue, to help teach and push forward the next generation that's going to replace us when we retire. And so I just felt like they did a world-class job, and they put their money where their mouth was and really invested in the barbecue community and in Memphis and in the business community downtown. And I was proud to be a part of it.
No,
absolutely. Sorry, but I just felt like I needed a story.
Oh, no, not at all, Carey. That was great. Robert Rocha, So Smoking Gooders Show and Bullhorn Barbecue. What's up, brother? Congrats on the GC this weekend. Matt has said just the same thing. Kids are the future of our sport, and if you can't support them, you got, especially if the kids are born into it, they grow up around it. But, you got some kids, use me as an example. I grew up in Boston. I now live in New Hampshire. We're not known for barbecue. For most of my life, going to a barbecue meant hamburgers and hot dogs and some steaks on a gas grill. But
nobody taught you barbecue was a noun.
That's it. Exactly. And then when I discovered it, the floodgates opened, and, it wound up being, one of the best things that ever happened to me. But yeah, the future, any contests that have the kids support them because they're the next ones coming up. And, you don't want to discourage them. And now, especially with I know it started in Texas and it's starting to get outside of Texas. They have the high school competition teams.
Oh, yeah. Which is great to see. It's amazing to see. And, with the MBN, Melissa Cookston has really pushed these kids and really led the effort with the World Junior Barbecue League. And, she's dedicated her time and attention to really bring these kids up. And it was great to go and walk down that field of competitors and meet those kids. And man, they were they were excited to meet you because they knew you and they had seen you. And, I had several of them give me their stickers. And I was like, man, I can't wait to hang these stickers up in my restaurant because these are the future. These are the next generation of restaurant owners and of barbecue leaders. And that's a big deal. And it's a big thing. And it really puts a smile on your face when you watch them up there just beaming with pride, winning. Most of them have won a lot more competitions than I've ever won. So it's great to see them really get into it.
No, absolutely, absolutely. But the one thing, like I said, I followed the whole Smoke Slam Memphis in May thing as close as I can. A lot of my friends have shows. Obviously, a lot of my friends are competition cooks.
Yeah.
I had friends at both events. The one thing I found interesting with Smoke Slam was that one of the groups involved, that's what they do is festivals. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah. So the group that was involved, Kevin McInerney is the one that put the money behind it. And Kevin's family owns Next Air, and they just sold Next Air. But they have a company. He's a partner with another guy named Mike Smith. They have a company called Forward Momentum. And they were already doing the Mempho Music Festival in Memphis. Native Nashvillians and Mempho Fest has been known throughout the Southeast as one of the most well-run, music festivals out there, and really a feather in the cap for Memphis as far as music festivals go. And so these guys had experience throwing music festivals, but they had never, thrown a barbecue competition. And so they took their expertise in hospitality and in music festivals. And then, they did the barbecue competition. I hooked them up with Melzy Wilson, who did an outstanding job of putting together, the judging and the organizational structure for a barbecue contest. Also brought in Arlie Bragg, who I've known for years, that helped with the World Food Championships. He's an ambassador for them. And Mike McLeod is a personal friend of mine who owns the World Food Championships. And I called Mike and I said, look, we'd love for you to get involved. We'd love for there to be a golden ticket or some golden tickets. And Mike said, look, we're going to do 10 golden tickets. We're going to do all your ancillaries and your main competitions. And one of the greatest things about Smoke Slam was that they allowed us to compete in with Memphis in May. We always had to choose one: ribs, shoulder, or whole hog. And in order to do multiple, you had to have multiple teams. And there were years that I had 2 teams to compete in shoulder and whole hog. That gets old and it gets very expensive. Yeah. Smoke Slam allowed teams to compete in all 3 categories. And so this year I was able to cook whole hog, shoulder, and ribs. It's not an easy thing to do. It's a lot of work. It's at least 9 presentations before you make the finals. But let me tell you, it maximizes, you feel like you're getting a lot bigger bang for your buck because you increase your odds of winning at that competition. And it was really nice to be able to, and then if you've got a big team, you're able to, spread the cooking over multiple cooks that want to be involved and want to learn more and come up. They don't just need Carey Bringle telling them what to do. They want to try some new stuff. They want to come up, and it gives you the leeway to have them bring some of their ideas into the booth, which is a big plus.
Yeah. Now with them with that experience in festivals and the hospitality side, the one thing I can see, and I don't know if it has gotten brought up in any conversations you've had with these folks, it seems to me they have obviously it's not an easy task, but it would be something easier for them to almost take Smoke Slam on the road. A Smoke Slam New Hampshire, Smoke Slam Chicago, Smoke Slam Austin. They have the knowledge to do it. They know what they'd be looking for venue wise, sites, and population, easy in, easy accessible to the public. Yeah, did they ever talk about that? Or
I don't know that they have aspirations for that. This is these are native Nashvillians. I mean, not Nashvillians, native Memphians that really cared about the barbecue culture and what was happening in the barbecue community in Memphis. And so, although they're music festival people and that's what they, concentrate on, this was sort of a labor of love. It was a passion project to say, hey, look, Memphis in May has had a riff and dropped the ball with Tom Lee Park and the river. And that's where barbecue belongs. That's what everybody knows about barbecue in May in Memphis. And if we can bring our resources together to bring that back to the river and really do a world-class competition on the river, that's what we care about. And so I don't know that they have any look, these are guys that have a lot of money that make it, in different various industries, and throwing a barbecue competition isn't a moneymaker. And in fact, it's probably a pretty big hassle. And so this is not their focus. It's not what they need to do to make money. They did this for the love of their city and for the love of barbecue. And so I doubt you're going to see Smoke Slam take anything on the road. I got another friend who does that and does it quite well. That's Brian Wabi with Q in the Lou, and now Q in Denver, and Q in Texas, and Q in Kansas City. And they do a great job of bringing together some great pitmasters for the public to be able to come in and eat. It's not a competition. It's more of an eating festival, and they do a wonderful job at it. But I don't think you're going to see forward momentum, and I can't speak for them, but I don't think you're going to see them try and expand this other than, on the river in Memphis, which they felt very passionately about.
Very good, very good. So with all this food talk, and which is wonderful, but at times you need a little something to wash it down with. So between the restaurants and everything, there it is right there.
I'm having some right now.
There you go. What led to the Peg Leg Porker bourbon line? Now you have a white label, an 8-year and a 12-year.
Right. So our white label is our standard bearer. That's a 4 to 6 year old Tennessee straight bourbon. It won best bourbon in the world last year from the Tasting Alliance, which was a huge deal for us. This year, for the first time in 3 years, we were able to bottle our 8-year again and our 12-year. We've got a new blending and bottling facility, which is certainly helping us expand. We're now in 12 states. We just picked up Florida. We're soon to be in Texas. And we're really excited about the future of the brand. I got into it because I had a close friend that had gotten me a sponsorship with Jim Beam Black for my barbecue team down in Memphis. Jim Beam Black has probably been my sponsor in Memphis for, I don't know, 18 or 20 years. And they're still my sponsor in Memphis, even though I have my own bourbon company. You know, I'm nowhere near the size of Beam Suntory. I don't think they're worried about my small brand, but so we still have a very close relationship with Beam and with Beam Suntory. But I was able to buy my own bourbon, develop my own process of hickory charcoal filtering after we debarrel the bourbon, and that gives it its unique flavor and taste. And we contract distill. We have a distiller here in Tennessee that we've worked with for years that's laying down, a lot of barrels for us a year. We had some juice that we had already bought over the years that was aged, and that's why we have our 8-year and our 12-year now. All of it been distilled and aged in Tennessee. The first batch that we'll release that won't have been distilled and aged in Tennessee will be, we released a Pitmaster Reserve about 3 or 4 years ago, which was a commemorative bottle in a wooden case with a peg leg pig topper on it. It was a 15-year-old Tennessee straight bourbon. We're going to release edition number 2 this year. So it's been a 3-year hiatus, and finally we're on to Pitmaster edition number 2. It's going to be a 16-year-old double oaked rye.
Ooh.
And it's really great juice. It's going to have great color and flavor. And we're double oaking it to give it a little bit more punch. And I think it's going to be in a same style bottle with the peg leg pig topper and a nice presentation case. And, that's not for everybody. That's for the collectors. That's a $400 bottle of bourbon, or rye in this year's case. But, folks that love our brand and that really want those collector's items, this is going to be the next in the series. It'd be number 2. And then we'll release one every year from now on. And they'll all be a different variation on what we think is the best product we can get our hands on or that we can produce for that year's Pitmaster Reserve.
Oh, nice. Randy, what's happening, brother? So that process of obviously can be a good time, at least the day doing it. The next day might be a little tough on you. But
yeah.
So you're working with somebody. So when you meet up with them, you kind of like a tasting room to see where you want to go with it, and if you want to juice it up a little bit, or more of a smoky note, or more of a vanilla. How's that process? Between the 3 regular lines, then like you said, you get into the special editions.
Well, we do that on our own. So I've got a chemist that works for us now, Neil Hilton, who does a great job. And he'll pull batches of our inventory. We have a lot of barrels in inventory now, and he'll make me samples, and then I'll take them home and I'll drink them and I'll taste them. Or I'll taste them with my wife. Sometimes I'll sit in, and then Neil will taste them, and then we'll sit down and we'll compare notes, and we'll try and decide, well, what do we think is the best? And ultimately, it's my decision, and it's got to be something that I want to drink and that I like. But I listen to my team members and what they feel. I listen to my wife on what she likes, and we just try and put out the best product that we can. We have, we bought a certain amount of aged inventory that we bought years ago that we've just continued to age in barrel houses. And then we started laying down our own product, 5 or 6 years ago. And now we've got all that inventory. And, most of it we just do as straight bourbon. And we blend barrels, but not different mash bills or different product. With the Pitmaster Reserve, we can be a little more creative, but we just want to try and produce the absolute best that we've got. And that's what we want in that bottle, because that's a special bottle that people want to collect, and they want to tell their family and friends about it. And with the Peg Leg Pig topper on it and the nice case, it looks great on the shelf. But it's also to drink. This is I got a lot of collectors' bourbons on my shelf in my office, but ultimately it's just bourbon, and it's most all of it's pretty good unless you just get a shitty bottle. And so I would say drink it and enjoy it.
Oh yeah, it's the old. Now we're gonna age ourselves a little bit. It's like the line from the movie Cocktail when they were drinking the Louis XIII. And the guy goes, "Fuck it, it's 50 years old. It's been dead for 50 years old. Let's drink it."
That's right, 100%. The Louis Trey.
The Louis Trey. Oh man, yeah, we got the couple of bottles when we go to up here. We have the state liquor stores in New Hampshire.
Yeah,
and they have the whole lines of everything. Then they have that special one on the back wall, encased in glass.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You got the bottle of Louis Trey in there, and it's with the number to match.
Oh yeah.
And it's not a trade number; it's a Quattro number.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
But yeah,
Coughlin's rules for life.
Yes, absolutely. Oh man, Carey, thank you so much. This has been a blast. What's coming down the line for Peg Leg Porkers?
Johnny, we got a great 2025 coming up with the blending and bottling facility coming online this year. It's going to be great. We'll have a lot of great announcements for late 2024 and 2025. We've got so much more control over the bourbon. The restaurants are standing strong, doing well. Peg Leg Porker we've had a lot of construction around us. A lot of that'll end, and it'll be clearer roadways to get to the restaurant, which would be nice. Bringle Smoking Oasis is doing great. We just got named one of the top 22 best new barbecue restaurants in the country from Southern Living, which I'm proud of my team over there for that. And I'm proud of my other fellow barbecue places in the state of Tennessee with Blake's at Southern Milling and with Jack's Creek with Zach Parker doing that. And then what you'll see in 2025 from us is that we're starting to finally push our sauces and seasonings out into the marketplace. And so we will be making a series of announcements in 2025 where you'll probably see our sauces and rubs and barbecue seasoning in more and more of your local grocery stores all around the country and hopefully in Canada and globally. And so we're excited about that. We've been working on it for a long time. We got a dynamite partner that we're fired up about. And so we got a lot of great things coming, and we're really fired up.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm excited. That's great. And when you find out when New Hampshire gets the bourbon, you let me know, because I just happen to drive by two of the locations every day to go to work. So if one don't have the other,
we're in New York and we're in New Jersey, and we've talked about New Hampshire, and it may be something that we do before too long. So I think our distributor up in New York may cover your area, so you never know. They're doing a great job right now, so we may be in your state before you know it.
Oh, sounds good, brother. Sounds good. Where can everybody catch you, social media-wise, websites, things like that?
Yeah, you can go at Peg Leg Porker. We've got Peg Leg Porker on Facebook. We've got at Bringle Smoking Oasis. We're on Twitter. I guess we're on that TikTok. I don't know. I've never been on it. And then you can check out our website at peglegporker.com or peglegporkerspirits.com or bringlesmokinoasis.com. But we want to thank everybody for the support over the last 12 years. I'm truly humbled to be in this industry and have so many people be so supportive and really, help us make this dream a reality. And it came with a lot of hard work from a lot of people and a lot of luck and a lot of good timing. And we just want to thank everybody who's tuned in tonight, but also that have continued to support us over the years. And thank you, Johnny, for giving us a platform to tell our story tonight and let people know more about the brand and what we do.
Oh, Carey, anytime, brother, anytime. Like I said, I appreciate you. I've wanted to speak with you for a while. So, like I said, out of the blue, I got the email. I'm like, okay, perfect.
And remember what we said, what we like to tell people, and it's on every cup that we serve drinks in our restaurant. It's not a requirement for you to hate somebody else's barbecue in order to love mine. It's all a big barbecue family, and we want everybody to get along. There's a lot of great stuff out there, so go try as much barbecue from as many people as you can.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Carey, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Hang on 1 second. I'll jump back in and close out with you. But guys, thank you all for tuning in this week. Carey, what an interview. A lot of insights on stuff. We hit a bunch of good stuff today. I've already been seeing stuff popping on the phone here with if you cut this early, we're no longer friends. And great interview, awesome. Carey's great. So thank you guys, appreciate it. Next week, it's up in the air. Once again, Labor Day, Monday. So might be a show there, might not. I know everybody's busy with the Labor Day weekend celebrations and everything. So maybe we'll take a week and jump back in the week after. Now, the week after, let me just pull this up real quick, is we're getting interesting. I'm going to be doing a run of the month of September into the beginning of October of a bunch of the local New England teams. A bunch of local New England teams also have got their run for the Jack. So they down in Lynchburg, they might need some translators to get the old New England accent down there in Lynchburg. But we're going to be talking to a bunch of the local teams and find out what going to the Jack for, a multiple time, or for a couple of them a first time is, what it all NBL no, I cannot run. Those days are long gone. But to see to get to Jack and what that means to them, it'll be an interesting couple weeks coming up. But I'll keep everyone posted about this coming Monday. If there's nothing going on, guys, enjoy the Labor Day weekend with your friends and family. Be safe. And the one important thing, especially, keep that smoke rolling.